Okay, welcome to the Panda Security webinar on Partner Center Essentials. My name is James Manning. I'm a pre-sales engineer here at Panda Security USA, and I am going to be your presenter today. Today we are going to take a little bit of a look into the Partner Center, the Panda Cloud Partner Center. We're going to revisit some features that we have implemented, but also talk a little bit today about some exciting new features that are coming out. In this presentation, we're going to go through just a few slides. Once we walk through those slides, we're actually going to get into a demo of the Partner Center itself, go through a basic walkthrough of all of the different features, and we'll also go through a couple of scenarios at the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. As for our slides today, we're going to take a look at why you should work with Panda as far as being a partner, how that can be beneficial to you. We'll also take a look at some of the key functionality that's built into the Partner Center itself. And as we said at the beginning here, we're going to take a look at some exciting new features that if you've been a partner with us for a while, I think in particular you're going to find pretty exciting. So why Panda? Well, if we take a look at the industry as a whole, Panda is going to provide you with a lot of sales boosting features for a highly competitive market. There's differentiation in there, also vendor independence. So to be clear, what do we mean by vendor independence? Does that mean you can have multiple different vendors inside of this console? No, it doesn't. What we're talking about here is that you, as a partner, as a reseller, are going to be able to manage your customers and their experience with a lot more independence from the vendor than probably you may have been used to having to this date. We'll see a little bit of that in action as we move along. The Partner Center also provides you with a high level to provide your end users with customer satisfaction and gives you a lot of control over the lifecycle management for your customer as well. Now, from a numbers perspective, we also provide you industry-wise with a nice business opportunity. So, for one, software as a service is projected to have a 25% annual market growth rate. Cloud computing itself, which all of our products are, has 6 times faster revenue growth from cloud-based software than from traditional software. And cloud-based managed security services are going to make up 50% of the global managed security services market. Some of the advantages of working with Panda include the technology. We base a lot of our potential and a lot of our time on both big data analysis and an excellent team focused on R&D. So as you may have heard of us talk about before in some of these presentations, there's just a massive amount of malware and threats that are out there today. So it really requires sort of a big data stance to be able to accurately get a look at all the threats, all the trends and things of that nature that are affecting you and be able to make solid decisions based off of that data. Also, the simplicity that Panda brings to the table. With all of our consoles, including the Partner Center, we really work to strive to provide you with simple management of your customer security so you can focus on providing both value-added services. Margins as well. With Panda, you're going to receive high margins based on a partnership that is agreeable to both parties, both you as the reseller and us as the vendor. And of course, sales assistance and support. You'll have convenient access to materials, tools, and training right at your fingertips. Many of you already have access to our partner news portal where a lot of that information is provided for you. Now let's talk a little bit about the key functionality inherent in the Partner Center. We'll look at 3 different categories: customer management, license lifecycle management, and also security management. From the customer side, one of the big pluses is that you're going to have the ability to create customers independently of us. That means that if you're out there working with a prospect, you have somebody that is interested in the software, you're not going to have to stop everything that you're doing, get in touch with us, go through the process of creating a customer before you can provision a trial. With your Partner Center, you're going to have the ability to, on the fly, create new customers, assign products to them on a trial basis or on a commercial basis. As an extension of this, you're going to have full visibility of all of your customers. This includes your trial customers and your fully paid commercial customers. The license lifecycle management is an inherent part of this as well. You're going to have the ability to assign the trials, assign real licenses to customers, which is a nice segue. If you have a prospect that's out there interested in doing a demo or a trial of the product, they go through that process and they're interested in converting that into paid licenses, you will have the ability to do that directly from the console. But also, as they continue out throughout the life cycle, when renewal time comes around, you have the ability to go ahead and push out renewal licenses. And this is also where some of the exciting new features are going to come into play, and we'll see that as we get into the demo. From the security management aspect, you are going to have the ability to access all of your customers' consoles. The Partner Center provides a very nice base, a high-level base for you to go in and quickly review your clients, see what their status is, and if need be, you have the ability from your Partner Center to directly access your customer consoles. You also have the ability to centrally create and manage security policies, which is a big plus. It keeps you from having to essentially reinvent the wheel. You can tweak a single security policy and use that as a default for any new or existing customers. You'll be able to immediately take actions remotely and customize the customers and management consoles. So now let's get into some of the new features that we are going to be releasing here with the Partner Center. One of the big ones here is changing licenses. Version 2.10, which is the new release, is going to include the ability to provide more flexibility with license management. Renewals is a big one. As may have been your experience in the past, when it comes time to renew a customer, you typically had to wait several days before the license expiration date was, before you can assign out new licenses in order to keep the time on there, keep the licenses lined up. But with this new release, you no longer have to worry about that. We are now giving you the ability to renew licenses up to 1 year before the expiration date of the current licenses. There's no need to create a new line per set of licenses. So in other words, you're not going to have one line of the current licenses expiring soon and another line expiring a year later just to do a renewal. With this new feature, you are essentially extending the validity period of licenses from the original end of service date out 1, 2, or 3 years. You are also going to have the ability to increase the number of licenses without changing the end of service date. This was another nice feature inclusion. Previously, before, what would happen is if you had 5 licenses, let's say they ended in 2018, let's say March 2018, a customer calls in, they need a couple of more licenses, you go in and assign it. What may ended up happening was you had staggered end dates. So you have March 2016 expiring licenses, and then you may have June 2016 of expiring licenses. Along with the grouping of licenses feature that we recently included, this is actually going to give you the ability to go in and say, I want to go ahead and increase the license count for this customer by 1, and it's going to co-term it for you so that the licenses will all end on the same expiration date. It makes maintenance, management, and renewal of those licenses much, much easier. Another new feature is the ability to add modules. The 2 modules that are being introduced right now are going to be patch management as well as advanced visualization tools. One scenario for this would be, let's say you've set up a customer with Adaptive Defense 360. Later on, they decide that they want to go ahead and add maybe the visualization tool to the account. So instead of going in and adding another line item or going through the hassle of adding this in, the module is going to give you the ability to go ahead and assign that to that customer's asset. It is going to match the license amount, and it is going to maintain the end of service date as the original asset. Now, right now, the patch management module and the advanced visualization tool modules are the only ones that are available, but the next steps are going to be to implement this feature for all modules. The one main requirement for this is that it is required to have a unique asset of the main product, a single asset of the main product. So if you've got a customer or license base that has separate line items with different dates, you want to go ahead and utilize the grouping of licenses feature to put those in as a single asset, and from there you'll be able to add modules. And as we stated, modules are going to have the same number of licenses and same expiration date as the main product. Another nice feature is going to be the patch management license pool. We just hinted at this on the last slide. This is a new feature that we're going to be introducing. It's going to enable organizations to keep systems vulnerability free by patching all Windows versions and hundreds of third-party applications. Comes with minimal cost and without interruption of the user's work. This is something that is going to be fully integrated into the security console. And it's going to be available as a module for all clients that have an Ether-based product. So as you go in, you have your Endpoint Protection Plus or you have your Adaptive Defense in there, you're going to see a new area for patch management. Definitely stay tuned for webinars for patch management. We are going to be doing one here very shortly. All right, now let's move on from here and get into the demo of the Partner Center. So first thing we want to do is we want to take a quick walkthrough of all the different areas of the Partner Center in case you're not totally familiar with it. Then we'll walk through our scenarios. Our starting place is always going to be our status page. This is the first thing that you're going to see as you log into the console. Up top, we have what is called our license pool. Several advantages come with our license pool. You have a list of all of the available Panda products. By default, we're only going to list the ones that you currently have licenses for at the top. But see, you have here our new entry for patch management. Now, our license pool allows you to buy licenses and store them until you need them in the future. One of the great benefits of this is that you're able to buy greater amounts of licenses and take advantage of price breaks and store those for when you need to distribute them to customers. With the license pool, a license is not going to lose time until you assign it out to a customer. So in other words, these 42 licenses that we have here of 1-year term are not going to lose any time off of them unless I was to assign them to one of my customers down here in the console. Another added benefit of this is that we allow you to reclaim time from licenses. So if you have a customer, a new customer that you've assigned 10 1-year licenses to, and let's say that that business didn't do so well and they ended up going belly up after about 6 months, we're going to allow you to delete that customer, delete those licenses, and reclaim the remaining time off of them. So through prorating, what you would get in that situation is going to be 5 1-year licenses. Those licenses will go back into your license pool, and you're free to distribute them out to the next customer as you see fit. Below that, as we get into the monitoring area, we see an area for adding a client. We're going to hold off on this and show you in another section. The important features here are the client area. So this is where we're going to have a high-level overview of how our clients are doing, see if there's any issues that we need to address, and any detections and anything of that nature. We have the customer listed here by name. We can see the group that they are currently assigned to, the type of licenses. A T stands for a trial license. An R, or a release license, is a paid license. We can see how many they have contracted, which products they are currently signed up for, and how many licenses they currently have used. Along with that, we have the next expiration date and a high-level overview of any outdated protection, outdated knowledge, or errors, along with any detections that have occurred in this last 7 days. This is especially beneficial as you start to scale. It allows you to quickly come in here and review your customers, see if there's anybody that needs a little bit of closer attention. If you find that there is, it's really convenient to log directly into their consoles through the click of a button. From here, we could drop into any one of the products that that customer currently has and do any further work that's necessary. Now, as we click into the customer, there are some changes that have been made here as well. As you go through the customer creation process, you're going to be entering details such as their address and their phone number. Previously, this was not information that we had included in the Partner Center, but we did receive a lot of demand or requests for that information to be visible. So now the information that you include upon customer creation is going to be readily accessible to you directly from the Partner Center. Nice convenience feature as you're going through, as you see licenses need to be renewed or a potential product that you want to pitch to the customer, you have their access details right at hand. There are new features here at the right as well, as you will see. We're not going to go over those now. We're going to hold off on those until we get into the scenarios. Now, as far as assigning licenses, this is one thing that has changed recently. It used to be on the status page, on the main page, But now if you need to assign licenses to a customer, you come directly into that customer's details, you'll click on Assign Licenses, and then from there, you'll be able to choose which products that you want to assign to them, whether or not they are term licenses, 1, 2, or 3 years, or a trial license. So our next stop is going to be on the client's page. We'll go ahead through the process of, actually we'll wait on that till we go through the scenarios, but on the client's page we can register new clients, we can create client groups if we need to, and where this becomes relevant is here on our status page. It's more of an organizational concept as we see here. We can separate our clients out by groups. You're more than welcome to utilize just the default group for organization. A lot of organizations do. Where we find the groupings helpful is if you have, let's say, offices or service branches that are in different sides of town, you want to go ahead and organize your customers based on who owns those customers. So you'd put them into groups based on that. The automatic renewal and automatic assignment of licenses are just different ways of managing the licenses for the customers. For the automatic renewal, it'll be helpful if we discuss the typical renewal process. Normally what will happen is as your customer nears expiration, you're going to work with them, see if they want to renew, and if they do, a transaction will take place between you and the customer, at which point you'll come in and assign the licenses out to the customer themselves. But with the automatic renewal of licenses, what we do is we utilize your license pool and your permission, and you can designate a customer to automatically renew with 1, 2, or 3-year licenses. So what will happen in the scenario is as that customer reaches expiration, we're going to look in your license pool and see if you have a sufficient number of licenses to renew that client. And if you do, we'll go ahead and pull them and apply them to their console. Automatic assignment of licenses is a little bit different as well. So to use a scenario, let's say you have a customer, you've assigned them 5 licenses, but they've grown a little bit. Maybe they've added 3 more people, 3 more computers, and they need to do installs of 3 more of whatever product you've assigned to them. Normally what would happen is they're going to call you, inform you that they need more licenses. You'll do the transaction, you'll provision the licenses to the console, and they'll be able to do the install. But with the automatic assignment of licenses, you can dictate that a particular customer is able to go ahead and pull licenses out of your pool based on 1, 2, or 3-year terms. So what would happen in our previous scenario is they bring on the 3 new people, and as long as they have an installer handy, rather than having to contact you or go through that process, they can just do the install on the 3 machines. It'll pull the licenses out of your pool and assign them to that console. This is something that you want to be careful with, as if you let a installer get out and people were to install using it, it would pull from your license pool. Best scenario for this is if you know that you're going to a customer site, you have their installer on a thumb drive, and you suspect that you may need to do some installs there, but you don't want to go through the provisioning process while you're on site. This becomes a handy feature. You can just grab your installer and do additional installs, and it'll go ahead and pull licenses out of your pool for that customer. Next page is our settings page. For updates, you have a central method to disable or enable the protection upgrades, but also the knowledge updates. This feature is also available in every single individual console, but this gives you an easy centralized location to do so. Languages can be changed for the customer consoles as well. Service personalization is provided. With personalization, you have the ability to include your logo inside of your customer's consoles. They will see it up here right next to ours. And you have the ability to change the name of the protection as well as the icon. Instead of using a Panda icon with Panda Endpoint Protection as the name, you will utilize a shield icon with just a generic endpoint protection name. One last feature here is the copying of configuration profiles. I think this is definitely an important feature to cover. It is beneficial. It's a time saver. What will normally happen when you create a new customer, we are going to give you a default group and a default profile. It is a least restrictive profile that we find works best across a broader range of customers. You may find that you desire some added security to your base profiles, and in those situations, what you'll find yourself doing is when you create a new customer, going in and tweaking their default profile before you do installs. But with the ability to copy profiles, you can eliminate that process altogether. What you can do is set up a profile inside of your own console, tweak it how you want it to be for every default profile with every new customer or existing customers. Then when you create a new customer, you can come in, you can select that profile, say I want this default profile to apply to specific customers or our client group. You'll be able to choose from those here, and it will copy this profile from your console into theirs. Reporting options are available for you as well. You give you 4 different types of reports. An executive is going to be an overview of the license status, detections as well. The status report is going to look at the status of the protections installed. Detections is going to be a breakdown of the individual detections that have occurred in an environment. The detailed computer information is going to give you an Excel spreadsheet that has information related to the installed version, the installed agent version, the computer, the operating system, and so on. Depending on the report, you can set this up to be targeted towards client groups or individual clients themselves. You have various language options available to you, various output formats available to you as well. And you can choose who you want these reports to go to. Some of these are going to be appropriate for just yourself as the reseller, but you may choose to send out an executive report to one of your customers so they get an idea of what you've done so far, what the product has done inside of their environment. Scheduling options include daily, weekly, and first of the month, and you can choose your hour as well. Now, one of the last things I want to show you here inside of this demo is the preference section. And there's a very important feature in here I think you need to be aware of, and that feature is the email notifications. We recommend that you set this up, include a subject and an email address in here. And what this will do is that every 30 days we are going to email you and notify you of clients that are expiring over the next 60 days. That happens on a monthly basis. So you get a nice rolling notice of everyone that is coming up for expiration. It helps to keep management of your customers, of your licenses, a little bit more simpler. So from there, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of different scenarios that you may encounter as you're out there with your customers. One of the first ones I like to do is take a look at the process of adding a new client. So you've been talking to someone, they're finally interested in going ahead and trying out the product, so they want to try out AD360. So what you would normally do as a partner would be to come in, click on the Add Client button, give them a name, test client 46, enter an email address in, and there's a couple of rules for this email address, or recommendations I should say. If this is something that the customer is going to actively manage, they're going to be logging into the console, tweaking profiles or doing installs, then you may want to include their email address here. You're going to send a welcome to that email address. If not, if you're going to completely manage that product yourself, but the customer is interested, go ahead and include your own email address. We'll send all the details to you. Just some minimal required fields in here. I do recommend that you go ahead and try to fill out the rest of this information, because as we stated before, that information is going to be available inside of the Partner Center now, so you can take advantage of that being exposed to you. Once we have our information in, we'll go ahead and click Next. We'll choose a group that we want to be added to. We'll just put them in the default group. And as we said, this customer was interested in just the AD360 product. We're going to put them on the new Ether platform. And we are going to assign a trial to them. They will automatically get 100 licenses. Then we click on Add License or Add Client. This will go through the process now of creating this customer in the back end in our systems. Once that is done, it's going to go ahead and create a console for them. We're going to get a completion notice here as this process completes. And at that point, the customer will be accessible in our consoles. We'll be able to see the details that we entered in. We'll also be able to go in and manage things like modules. We can change the licenses, and we can also go in and access their consoles. Now from there, we can go right into the status page, or it'll drop us in automatically into that customer. But as we see here, we have test client 46 now. So they now have our base product of Adaptive Defense 360. We can come in, we can access this console if we want. We see we have the customer's details, which we entered in during the process. But let's say we have the customer utilizing the product and we discover another need. They say, well, I kind of have devices everywhere and I'm not sure how to keep up with them and how to remote into them and manage them. It's a real headache. So we've discovered a need for a new product. We talk to them about systems management. They're interested, and we want to go ahead and add that in to their assets. All we have to do is access our customers. We'll come into assign licenses. We'll choose our product. In this case, it's systems management. We're going to provision a trial for that customer and click on assign licenses. Again, this will go through the process of assigning these system management licenses to our customer, creating a console for us, and it'll drop us right back in. As you can see here, they now have 25 trial licenses of systems management to utilize. But perhaps after further conversation, they've utilized AD360 now for quite some time. They like it. They're interested in a little bit more data. They're wanting to know a little bit about the background, the back end side of things, what we're able to see and how they can utilize that. So we've just discovered the option to introduce a new module, and that is the Advanced Visualization tool. So we'll come in here to our asset for Adaptive Defense 360 for this customer, click on Add Modules. We'll choose Advanced Reporting. It'll default to a trial license here for us. As we can see, we're going to add 100 trial licenses of advanced reporting. They will expire on the same date as our current trial. Then we'll just add them in to the current asset. Once that process completes, we'll be able to see the modules under Adaptive Defense 360. So the license provisioning has completed. We're able to go in, expand our asset out, and now we can see that we have the Advanced Reporting Trial module now included here. If we want, we could also terminate this module as well. Now, to talk about a couple of different scenarios, let's say we have an existing customer. Let's talk about some of the new features that we went over. Let's use our trial customer here. So our customer currently has 10 licenses of endpoint protection on the Ether platform. They've contacted us and said, well, we want to add a couple of licenses. Normally at this point you'd have to go in, you'd provision 2 new licenses, and what you'd see would be another asset or another line item down here with a different expiration date. Now what we're able to do is come in here, and as you see, we have the option to change licenses. So we can go from 10 of endpoint protection, change our number from 10 to 12, and there you go. The number of licenses will be immediately increased. This is not a renewal action. We're just adding licenses on to the current license span, and it's going to tell us how many licenses it is going to pull out of our pool based off of the existing time on the remaining contract. We click on change, those licenses would be applied, and the customer would have access to them. Another scenario, let's say the same customer here, they want to go ahead and renew. They just love the product and they don't want to wait. They have some money in the budget right now. They want to go ahead and make sure that they get this process done. Same thing, we'll go into the change licensing area. We can renew the same amount of licenses if we want, or we can even extend and renew those licenses as well. Let's say they want to go ahead and extend it and then renew off of that as well. So as you can see here, we're going to be adding 13.5 to 1-year licenses of endpoint protection. These licenses will expire on 5/7/2020, 1 year from the current expiration date of 5/7/2019. We could click on a change, that will get applied and renew once the current license period is ended. Well, that completes our presentation for today. I hope you found this beneficial. I hope you're excited about the new features that are available. I think this is going to bring you a lot of flexibility. Takes care of a lot of the headaches that we may have encountered in the past here. I know we kind of teased you a little bit with the patch management, but definitely stay tuned. That's another exciting feature that's going to be coming out. We'll have a webinar out for you as well. If you have any questions about anything that you've seen here today, please feel free to contact your sales representative or a sales engineer. They'll be happy to help you with any questions. Thank you, and we appreciate you attending.